Okay, everybody quiet on the set, please.
In 1, 2, 3, boom! Adam,
Yes.
אנחנו נגמור את זה.
I am so glad that I am drinking for this interview. You have no idea.
I feel very neglected.
And on that note, are we ready to roll? Hi, welcome to Wine with Adam. I'm your host, Adam Scott Bellos, and today I am here in the city of Jerusalem at the Safania Hotel in Geula with my very good friend and very special guest, Tuvia Tenenbom.
Nice to meet you, Adam. It's a pleasure to be with you right here at this moment of time, at this historic moment of our lives. It's a pleasure. It's really Gan Eden.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. My friend.
Can I tell you something? It's total paradise being with you as well.
Yeah, thank you.
I've never met anybody as entertaining as you, and now I'm
Thank you so much.
gonna make this time even more fun because
Thank
today,
you so much. I really appreciate it.
today we are going to be drinking the 2020 Jezreel Rose. It's a blend of Carignan, Syrah, and Sauvignon Blanc.
Perfect.
This comes from the north, up in Emek Yezreel, the Jezreel Valley,
Yeah.
where ancient wine presses are scattered all over the place.
Yes.
This is actually one of Israel's finest wineries. This is
Yes.
probably the most fruit-forward rosé you can
Wow,
find.
wow, wow, wow,
And
wow.
believe it or not, this
How
wine,
much does a bottle like this cost?
this costs about 80 shekels. You can
80 shekels.
80 shekels.
And you give it to me for free.
And I'm giving it to you for free.
Can you keep it closed?
I am not keeping it closed because we are going to open it. We are going to drink it. You can find it at wineonthevine.com, and you can get it both in America and in Israel. Without question, this is one of my favorite rosés, and they actually have a 2021 rosé that just came out. We're drinking last year's, believe it or not, and I find both of them to be absolutely exquisite. And I think you're going to enjoy it because I love being around you sober, but I'm definitely going to like more being around you after a little bit of alcohol in your system.
Thank you so much. Mazel tov.
L'chaim.
L'chaim.
Now listen, I want you to tell me what you smell and I want you to tell me what you taste.
I smell the beauty of ancient Israel. I see the lovers in Shir Hashirim, Song of Song. I see the love flowering between them. Oh, God.
This is without a doubt the best wine tasting I've ever done.
Wow. You have to make a bracha. We are in Jerusalem. We are in Mea Sharim, or Geula, or Kerem Avraham, whatever.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech habrei
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Bo yirei pri hagofen.
Amen. L'chaim. So, Tuvia.
Yes. Ask me any question you want. Maybe you'll get an answer.
Well,
maybe
let's
not.
let our guests know exactly who you are. Almost PhD.
Yeah.
MFA in English Literature from SUNY Brooklyn.
And drama, creative writing,
Drama.
Yeah.
Founder of the Jewish Theater of New York.
and mathematics and
And a BS in mathematics from Touro College, but also you're
In
the
computer
author
science also.
in computer science. You're the author of a number of different plays. You're a journalist and you're an author and you're a husband.
Yes, that's correct.
And so right now you just published a new book called The Taming of the Jew. Before that you published the book Hello Refugees.
Hello, refugees.
And then The Lies We Tell.
Then
and
Lies We Tell.
But the book that really brought you attention was To Catch a Jew. So for people that aren't really familiar with you and aren't familiar with your work, theater and playwriting and acting are so prevalent in all of your books. And you portray so many different characters throughout the stories that you tell, somewhat going undercover. So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What gave you your love of theater? You grew up, your mother was a Holocaust survivor, your father was a rabbi, you were born here in Israel. You started in computer science and math and then went to theater. But wait, so what gave you your love of theater and dramatics?
Okay, to start with, I didn't start with mathematics and computer science.
Okay.
I started here, in this neighborhood, which I call the Greater Mea Sharim. I grew up in Bnei Brak, Haredi city, learned there in Cheder and in yeshivas. Cheder and in yeshivas later. For the better part of my early years in life, I was a Talmud learner. That's what I learned. I learned the Talmud. I studied the Talmud. Only after I left here, and I left the Haredi world, I moved to America, so I wanted to compensate for everything I didn't know, because in the yeshiva I learned only yeshiva studies.
Do you think that it's a problem that you didn't get that secular education along with your Torah studies?
I personally don't see that. I don't see it that way.
Because it's a big leap from rabbinics to playwright.
And okay, so first of all, I wanted to know, to close the gap, so to speak, of my education, non-Jewish education. I wanted to know the purest element of culture, of science, put it this way, of the culture outside of science. So I studied this. I spent some years studying mathematics and computer science. And then I wanted to go, I said, okay, the other part that's missing in me is the humanities. So I went to study, I went to Bergen College. I registered for English literature. Mm-hmm. And there was one course over there called Modern Drama. And I was scratching my head, what could it be? Imagine you're a Haredi boy and you look at something that says Modern Drama. You have no clue what you're talking about. And I went to my professor, Professor Jack Gelber, in Brooklyn College, the graduate division. I went to my professor and I said to him, I heard that you also teach creative writing, drama writing. I want to go to your class. I want to move from English literature to your class. And my professor looked at me and he said, my students in creative writing, all of them have at least 5 years experience in writing plays. You forget it writing, you don't even know. You don't know, read a play. I said to him, listen, I am from Israel, but this is America. And I have been told that in America you give everybody a chance. There are no rules. It's open society. You just have to prove yourself. Aren't you Americans? Something like that. So let me prove myself. The professor looked at me and says, Mr. Tenenbom, you have a lot of chutzpah. And it's obviously you have never written anything, because nobody can write a play in 1 week. I said to him, try me. I bought a typewriter, and I wrote a play. And the name of the play, it's called The Russians Are Coming. That's the title. And I gave it next week at class. I gave it to my teacher. I said, Professor, here it is. He sat down and he read it, and he accepted me as a student of his.
L'chaim.
Towards the end, I wrote a play about a Jewish issue, about Borough Park.
Okay.
And my professor was a Jewish, communist, atheist as much as they come. And that Jew, in Mea Shearim, they call it a Pintaleid, came out of him. And he said to me, a Pintaleid. And he said to me, Tuvya, we Jews don't know how to write a place like this. Jewish writers have no Jewish education. You wrote a piece full of Jewish wisdom. Do me a favor. Start writing Jewish theater. What I had to transfer is the yeshiva world, the Haredi world, the religious world, the 2000 years, the Talmudic world, Talmudic reasoning, Jewish humor, not just from the Yiddish theater kind of.
Right.
From that, all these things that was been pushed into me or put into me, into my soul, into my being, and now I had to put it on the stage.
You basically create a new form of theater in New York, and you start to move into journalism. What brought you into the new world of journalism?
What brought me into journalism is because we did this kind of Jewish theater, and it was very different Jewish theater. It was unique Jewish theater, and the audience loved it very much. But I could never raise it from the level of off-Broadway or off-Broadway, which we did in the Jewish theater, to bring it to big off-Broadway or to Broadway. And we had Broadway producers coming to see the shows, but they were all Jewish, and they wouldn't take a Jewish show because it's too Jewish. In the meantime, I was writing a little pieces of news, not news, articles here and there, but very little. So the idea came to join George Bush. But then I looked and I saw that George Bush travels to Saudi Arabia. So, to make a long story short, I got a visa from the Saudis, and I had amazing fun over there. We were at a party, and I told this story to a woman who was writing for an Italian paper. She said, "This is a very interesting story. Can you write for us the story?" I said, "Of course."
And
So I
this
wrote
is
the
how it
story
all
for
begins.
Corriere della Sera, and they put it on the front page. And then somebody inside Germany read the story in Italian. He said, "Could you write us the story, but make it twice as long?" I said, "Oh, this is an interesting request.
Proposal.
I'll accept it." So, and when the article was published, readers sent tons of letters to the site asking, "What a pleasure. Finally, somebody writes with Jewish humor the style of writings that we don't have since World War II."
And this
Thank
is what
you.
the Germans said.
The German readers. So I started writing a lot of articles. I became a journalist.
So you basically fell into it.
I studied journalism also in my 15 years university. You know,
Right. So let me ask you a couple questions. You fall out of yeshiva.
Yeah.
You fall into the academics, the humanities, the arts.
Yeah.
You fall into playwriting, and then you fall into journalism.
Yeah.
And all of your books since then have really highlighted one main thing: the underlying anti-Semitism amongst Gentile cultures. Was this your intention to even highlight this, or did you fall into it as well?
Never ever. Writing about anti-Semitism to me is exactly like being a plumber. You have to go to the toilet. It's dirty. It stinks. And you have to take sometimes the whole stinkings with your hands. This
Okay.
is not a job that somebody who was born in Bnei Brak and raised in Jerusalem dreams of doing. Especially not if his father was a Rosh Yeshiva, his grandfather was a Rebbe, and he goes to the line of Rebbes and rabbis. No, this is
Right.
not my dream.
But you ended up being very good at
I
it.
ended up because
I mean, you ended up being very good at it because
Thank
of
you
your
very
background
much.
in theater.
Because of my background in theater, and because I know never to have, I never have a fear of meeting a villain. I have no problem because in theater the villain is a very necessary character.
Okay.
It's a lovely character.
Which drives the story forward.
Drives the story forward.
Okay, I have a serious question for you,
Yes.
though. You play all these characters in all of your books. You've got Toby the German, Tuvia the Jew. You've played Jordanian. You've
Abu
played,
Ali.
You've played Abu Ali.
I am Abu Ali, the Palestinian.
The Palestinian. You've also played Prince Sheikh before. You've tried to get away with Bedouin. You've said on your worst day, or no, what was the line? That you might, if you feel like it one day, try to be Ethiopian.
Why not?
Like, even though you can't pass
not?
as a Syrian when you tried to go into the refugee camps in your refugee book. You have to have some type of specific love of people
You must
and
have.
their stories
You
to
must have.
do what you do and
You
to
must
go
have.
undercover and to get in and a curiosity that is not of the normal nature. Where does that come from?
I don't know. This you have to ask God.
This has got to be like the joy of your life based on everything that you've done.
It is fun. It is fun, but at the same time, the sad part is that wherever I go, I try to talk about baseball or I try to talk about theater like in London or in England or in Britain in general. I try to talk about theater. I try to talk about Brexit. I try to talk about the EU. And that's my purpose of going there. And it turns out at the end, I talk to people. They don't talk to me about theater.
No, they
don't even talk to me about Brexit. What does it talk to me about? The Jews. The Jews.
Is that a big part of your tactic, or is it not even a tactic at all?
This is the way I approach people in general.
Right.
And people see that love.
Understood.
And that's no matter who is my interview. It can be the leader of the Nazi party. It can be Hamas. It can be Hezbollah. It can be anybody. I'll find something nice about the person. I hook up with a nice thing. And then the people say what they think.
Right, but you have
It's in the culture.
You have this line in, I think it's Catch the Jew, where you talk about that Jews are vicious people and that they killed Jesus. And if I'm correct, what you're kind of getting at in all of your books is that this medieval form of anti-Semitism still permeates its way through society, just in a different modern way through the expression of anti-Zionism now.
So what do we see in the New Testament? The Jews are the children of Satan.
Right.
And the Christians are the children of God, of
Right.
the Father in heaven.
What-
When Jesus comes here to Jerusalem, to the temple, what does it say in the Old Testament? What does he find? He finds
The money
worshipping
changers.
Jews. What?
No, you find the money changers and corruption.
Money changers.
Right.
From this we know, what are the money changers? The Jews. From this we know that the Jews are into money.
Right.
So you see a lot of examples like this in the New Testament that survived the religious beliefs of people. And that's what it is.
But now it's outside of the religious beliefs.
Yeah,
and
of course.
It's more permeated
it's
into
like
permanent.
it's like the culture.
It's become popular culture now.
It's already embedded in the culture.
Well, one of the things that I find most interesting, and I was talking about this with Ron Dermer when he was on our show last time, was that for the first time for the American Jewish experience, anti-Semitism has permeated itself into pop culture, and it's something that's never existed in the Jewish American experience before.
It's not true. First of all, it's not true. What happened is that the cycle of anti-Semitism changed. For example, American Christianity, the evangelical world,
Right.
was different. It's a new kind of Christianity, While the Christian European, for example, Christ, how terrible it is. You see pictures in the church of Jesus on the cross and drops of blood coming. You see, and people come and in those bloods, go to the church and they kiss the drops of blood. The crown, thorn of it. It's like horrible. Evangelical Christian go like this. You go to the church of evangelical Christian, and Jesus died for me. And Jesus died for me. And Jesus died. And Jesus died. He died for me.
Chaim.
Jesus loves me. Jesus loves you. I mean, the whole thing of the crucifixion has become like, it's like a celebration. So that kind of anti-Semitism of the Jew, it changed a little bit because it's so beautiful that Jesus died. The pendulum now moves, and the American Christianity is becoming anti-Jewish also. You go to churches, and this I did in this book, for example, and you see even in evangelical churches, even in the South, that's supposedly pro-Israel, you see the 40 plus love Israel, and the 40 or 30 minus, in that range, going down, they are really critical of Israel. The British is very different. The whole British society, it's a monarchy. The society is divided from the high elite, like the kingdom, then lords or whatever, all the way to the bottom, to the paupers and prostitutes on the streets. So in that society, the Jew is an animal to be despised, no matter what the Jew does. Remember, and this I learned only over there, the first blood libels against Jews comes from Norwich, from England.
I have some questions for you that I want you to answer.
How much you pay me?
Another glass of wine.
Okay.
Okay, good. You love me, don't you?
I love you.
That's what I thought. I love you too.
I love people who come to me with bottles of wine, even if I'm not a wine drinker.
I want to know what you think causes self-hating Jewish people to exist. I want to know, where do you think the self-hating Jew comes from?
Where does it come from? It comes from anti-Semitism itself. You have a nation here, a group of people, for 2,000 years, they have been led to believe that the Jew is a ganev, a thief, that Jewish girls look really bad, ugly, that the Jews are murderers in nature, that the Jews are this and this is every bad thing. It rubs off on some people. And some people want that out of their systems. You're born into Judaism. It's not their fault. They hate the Jew in them. So they join the orchestra or the choir of anti-Jews, anti-Semites, and then they become a little bit better in that. That's basically what you see.
How do you feel that modern anti-Semitism has affected the United States?
It's not modern anti-Semitism, it's an old anti-Semitism, it's a 2,000-year-old anti-Semitism. How does it affect the United States? That you see more and more people critical of Jews and of Israel, of whatever it is. Now that you know the issues, you can be critical of Israel, I have no problem. But if Israel is the only country you criticize, I have a problem with you. Go, as I did, walk the width and breadth of America, go to Jewish temples, and listen to the rabbi speak. Instead of doing kol nidre, the rabbi makes a speech about the horrible crimes that one country is committing against innocent people, the only occupying force on the planet, named Israel. You go to this temple, people who don't believe in God and say Kaddish for Palestinian dead.
What you're saying reminds me of something that you wrote in your book about refugees. And you wrote this at the end of the book. And you said, the fate of the Jew is to love those that hate him. Why do you think that is?
Because we are sick. We are sick. That's the only religion we have in American Judaism today.
Let me ask you a question. What's the most ridiculous situation you've ever been in?
Today. Answering questions like this.
You love it. Don't get me wrong. You love it. You love it. Final question.
Yes.
I'm getting ready for my bar mitzvah. I'm 13 years old.
Yeah.
If you could sum up everything you've learned as a yeshiva student, a playwright, a journalist, an activist, a thinker, in one sentence, if you could sum up everything that you've learned, what could you teach me? What would you tell me?
Judaism is not taglit. Judaism is not kugel or gefilte fish. Judaism is not hummus or falafel. Judaism is not a flag. Judaism is the holy books or the ancient books written by Jews. Starts with the Tanakh. You gotta read it, all of it. If you want to know what Judaism, it's beautiful books. The Talmud, the Jewish literature. That's what makes us different. The only thing we brought to the world that others did not are these books. That's Judaism. If you want to be a good Jew,
Read the books.
read the books.
I want to thank my very hysterical, wonderful special guest, Tuvia Tenenbom. If you like the wine or are interested in the wine that we're drinking today, the Jezreel Rose, you can find it at wineonthevine.com. If you'd like to plant a vine at the Jezreel Winery, you can do that at wineonthevine.org. And remember, when you're drinking your Israeli wine, drink it with somebody you love. L'chaim, Tuvia.
For the temple months. L'chaim, thank you. It was a pleasure to be with you. A pleasure, a pleasure, a pleasure. You are a very interesting person, a unique person, a lovable person, a funny person, a smart person, and you have a crew of over 20 people here. They are unbelievable professionals. They are great. They are unbelievable. It's like a nation by itself.
L'chaim.
Thank you, L'chaim.